Welcome to my basement storage. Here amongst the cobwebs are some old computers. My old VIC20, Commodore 64. Over here is an Amiga 500. That's a 1200. That's an old IBM XT. We have a PET 4032. Up here is a 2001 series in really bad shape. There's an Apple II, E and a C, TRS-80 Model 1, Amiga 3000, Macintosh Plus. But today I'm going to concentrate on this gal right here. This was my very first computer that I ever owned, and this is the same one. The Commodore VIC20. Deeper in the piles of boxes, I pulled out a C2 and cassette unit and a Commodore 1084S monitor. So we're going to bring these things upstairs, dust them off, plug them in, see if they still work. So here's the old VIC20. The box is in pretty bad shape, as you can see. Some tape repairs to it. I've kept this box since I got the computer. It's been in here during every move. This is probably the first time the box has been opened in 15 or 20 years. Like we're upside down, and some of the styrofoam has been damaged. Let's get out here. Oh, case is not quite stuck together. A little bit of yellowing, but not terrible. Should have the switch box, cables, power brick. Power brick's a bit swollen and distorted here. And we got some cartridges. What do we have here? Cartridge extender. No label on that one. I have no idea what it is. Or this one. And this is a VIC modem. It's open like this because I had made some modifications to it, but I don't see those mods. There's a button on the side for some reason. Maybe that was my reset switch, but mods were never completed. To figure out what these cartridges are. Probably just a memory expander cartridges. You can see now why the case is not quite put together. There's no screws in it. So let's open it up and see what she looks like. Pull off the power ribbon. So doesn't look like she's in too bad a shape. Heatsink's loose. If I recall, that's probably pretty normal. I don't see any corrosion or any other problems. We'll get the monitor out, fire her up, and see if she still works. So now the moment of truth. Power supply is plugged in. This is the 2-pin AC version of the power supply. And we've got the monitor connected. And honestly, I don't remember. That's this one right here, which one it is. To turn the monitor on, we got a light. Now let's see if we get a picture. Oh, we have a power light. So it appears to start up normally. I can type list, I can type in a program, 10, print, hello, 20, go to 10, run. So not sure what's going on here. This is an early model VIC with an 11.5 volt AC power supply and internals, the big black heat sinks there. What probably needs to be done is to reseat some of these chips. Unfortunately, I do not have the tools needed to properly work with dip sockets anymore. So I'm going to do the best I can with some small screwdrivers, try and pry up the chips and press them back down and see what happens. Well, after reseating all of the socketed chips, we end up with the same situation. So I'm going to go do some Google searching. Well, I gave the case a good thorough cleaning, but I decided I'm not going to do a full restoration on it or a retro bright because I'm not planning on selling it, and there's no reason to erase all the scars. I do recall now that this hole used to be a reset switch, and I think I just used this LED to plug the hole with. Put it all back together here, the keyboard back in there. Here's a little trick you can use for removing the LED. You can, obviously, this one I've cut at one point, but when I was getting ready to remove it this time, I realized that these wires can be removed from the connector. The black wire goes in the middle. Click, and the red wire goes on this side. All done. Snap. Good as new. And here's the C2 in cassette unit. Original box. 1530. Desiccant. Plug it in and see if it works. Now that she's cleaned up, she looks a lot better. As you can see, this is a very early model VIC with the old style badge, the 2-pin power supply, AC adapter, and internal voltage regulator and heatsink. And it's a little bit warm. Unfortunately, as we saw earlier, it has a problem with the display. Cursor's flashing, it executes commands, but all the characters are @ symbols. I've been looking at this for the last couple of days, and actually if it warms up for a little while, it'll actually start displaying text correctly. I have a chip on order to see if that'll solve it. Here's the 1541 floppy drive. Let's see what it looks like after all these years. Vibration protector. See, there's a switch on the side. Swapping between device 8 and 9. Power cord. And a serial connector, which has stuck to the styrofoam. to do a bit of cleanup here. And we got the 1541 plugged in. Here goes the smoke test. No smoke. I don't think I have any discs. I'll have to go down to the garage and find those. Let's give it a quick test here and see if we can try to load something from device 8. Well, it's still alive, responding to device 8. Found a few other goodies while I was down in the garage. Vic20 owner's manual. And the Vic20 programmer's reference guide. This looks like a binary hexadecimal cheat sheet. Starting at 0, going all the way to 255. This book was very well used. Loading a cartridge save. Text mode is working by cooling the chip off, the VIC chip. And starting the cartridge. So even if text mode is working, graphics mode is still displaying ATS. Well, I got not a new VIC chip, but a replacement VIC chip. Put the new chip in right here. Fired it up. Problem resolved. Smoke test. And there it is. Works fine. Colors even seem a little bit better contrast, a little brighter picture. Got a couple of RAM expansion cartridges here. I've configured these. This is a 16K cartridge and an 8. I've configured this one for bank 1 and 2. This one's configured for bank 3. Here we have the trusty multi-cartridge slot for the VIC. This is a reset switch, and over here is a read-write protect switch. This is read-write, this is read-only, and applies only to the last cartridge slot. So when you're doing ROM saves, you can write protect the memory so the ROM can't overwrite itself. And these are switches to enable and disable different memory banks. So let's see what happens. Banks 1 and 2 and bank 3. Power on test. And there it is, 28 kilobytes. Actually should be 24 kilobytes, 8K times 3. Not having much luck with these old tapes. Nothing's loading. And I received some replacement belts for the tape drive. So now it's time to open it up and replace those belts. So the main drive belt here is pretty loose, and then there's a separate belt here that drives the counter. So I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do this on camera. I need to take out this screw here, be able to get the belt through. See what I can do here. Let's see if I can get the belt through here. Looks like this is going to have to come off here. Okay, new drive belt. And get these screws back in here, we'll be good to go. This should fix the load errors. It's causing speed variation. The belt was causing speed variation, causing wound flutter, which made it hard to read the tapes. Now, I'm going to see if I can do this counter belt too, but see what it looks like on this side. Shouldn't be too hard. Should be that simple then. All right, now all we got to do is get it back together. Shouldn't be too hard. It might just be as good as new. These marks on the bottom here are caused by the cable laying on it for maybe nearly 30 years. I'm not sure why it did that. Don't believe it was ever exposed to high temperatures. Looks good. See how it works. After much tweaking on the cassette drive, I think I might have had it fixed. I roughed up the pinch roller a bit and cleaned it very thoroughly, and I found this tape here. This is the tape that came with the VIC modem way back when. So it's the only tape I have that's factory made and not recorded on a cheap cassette tape. So let's see what happens when I try to load this. Well, that's a good sign. No read errors. List and run. It worked. Terminal ready. Anyway, it looks like the cassette drive is fixed and working. I decided to try some direct video capture from the VIC. You can see the background color here is correct. I think the CRT monitor of mine has a color issue. I'm going to load some games from disk here instead of tape because loading from disk is a lot faster. Looking through all of my discs and my tapes, it seems like at some point in the past I backed up everything off a tape and onto disk for safekeeping. The only thing I had on hand for capturing composite video was an old DV digital video camera via Firewire. Also using an old microphone that I had laying around for voiceover. First program on the disk is Star Trek. Had a minor problem when capturing here where it wasn't recording audio at first until I fiddled with the cables. I had fond memories of this game, but after playing it for a few minutes I really can't remember why. Entering sector 1.1. We have shields, photon torpedoes, and warp power. No, don't shoot the good guys. Ah, I shot the good guys. Level cleared. Watch your shields. Ah, I died. Let's see what else is on this disk. Lots of cartridge games. Omega Race, I remember this one. It's sort of a modified version of Asteroids. Oh, that was close. And that was a mistake. I remember GORF being one of my favorites, but the VIC20 version is a little limited in its sound capabilities. You can only have one missile in the air at a time. Pressing the fire button a second time will recall the first one. Well done, Space Cadet. I'm a little out of practice. Next level space warp. flagship. Got it. Next up, Attack of the Mutant Camels. This game is just a modified version of Grid Runner with camels on certain levels. I don't know if this was a paid promo or if Jeff Minter was just a fan, but this is related to the radio station KMEL at 106 FM. The first few levels are the same as Grid Runner. Here come the Camels. You can see they're worth 106 points apiece for 106 FM. Well, that's it for now. Let me know if there are any other games you want to see. I plan to do a second video on the VIC20 after I receive some parts that are on order. And stay tuned for more videos, Commodore 64, the Amiga, and other vintage computers from my garage.